to start with, what brings you joy?
Oh, I'm looking out my window, my office window right now, and I'm not sure what that mountain's called. I live in Queenstown, South Island, New Zealand, but we've called it the McEvoy Mountain. That's our last name, so I'm not sure what that mountain's called, but we call it the McEvoy Mountain. It's got snow on it in November, like it was just covered in snow. So every morning when I wake up, I look at this beautiful mountain, whether it's snow covered or not, and I'm just excited that that mountain's been there a hell of a lot longer than me and seen a hell of a lot more than me, and it's still standing. So after that, everything's kind of irrelevant. Nature brings me joy. I live in an area where you have to look up because everywhere is a beautiful mountain and everywhere is gorgeous. So there's no looking down at the ground being miserable. I just look up. So joy for me is nature, it's animals, and it's beautiful people. And I will share with you right now, I'm a little bit disappointed in the world because it seems that the people have become a little bit less than kind and respectful. I would like that to be the theme that I spread to the world, is be kind to everybody and be respectful of everybody's opinions and the way they want to live their life. And I think the world would be a better place if we lived like that. What do you reckon?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. So why is being happy, healthy and having vitality so important to you?
It's a really personal question, and my father died of Alzheimer's. And he was a really intelligent guy. He could speak 7 languages and sing in 7 languages and write in 7 languages. He could quote the Bible verbatim, a really smart man. And he was diagnosed with a dead brain. They said, your brain's going to rot away. And that didn't make any sense to me. I knew that because I was an exercise professional at the time, I knew that you could replace every cell in your body. So I couldn't understand why you couldn't replace brain cells. Well, my father died post-1999, and since then we do know, as teachers will all know, that you do and can have neurogenesis, you can grow new brain cells, and the brain is neuroplastic. So my driving force since my father died has been to learn how the human body works, and obviously the brain is inside the body. Does the brain work the body or does the body work the brain? And that's a really interesting question for me. So that's my driving force for being happy and healthy, is I want to keep learning about how the human body works. That's me.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know that you are totally driven with this because we haven't talking about this, but you have met some of the oldest people in the world, right? You've travelled and...
The last time we could travel, yes. So 2019 we went to Sardinia, and I met literally some of the oldest people in the world. And I've shared this story with you. I met a guy. I've never met anybody that's 103, but this guy was 103 going on 50. In fact, probably going on 40 or 30. He was in great shape. He was still working. He was still a full-time olive farmer. He was still making love to his wife. And he was a happy, healthy, gorgeous man at 103. So I know that it's possible. But everybody knows that it's possible. It's just whether or not you're prepared to do what it takes to keep your body physically healthy and physically strong. We know what to do. It's just whether or not we do it. There's a great question. Why don't we do it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something to ponder.
Yeah, and looking at you, we just discussed this. You and I have known each other now, I think, for nearly 20 years probably. And you look better now than you did 20 years ago. So you're onto it, woman. Woohoo! I love it.
It was a mission when I turned 50 and I realised I wasn't healthy, fit and strong. As that I'd want to be, and I realised that actually part of your inspiration, that I want to be healthy, fit and strong over 100. I want to live to be 120, not so I can say I'm 120, because I've got so much more to give. I've got more service to give, and I want to be healthy, happy and strong to be able to do that. So part of your influence on me, Rowie.
Oh, thank you. Well, that would answer the first question that you asked me. Is I have to live. I'm the same as you. Since I've been 13 years of age, I've been driven to be healthy, fit and strong and help other people to be healthy, fit and strong. And since I've been doing this as a full-time career, the world's gotten fatter and sicker and weaker than it's ever been. So I've got a lot more work to do, and it's going to take a lot more years. So yes, you and I together, we have to live a long, long time. Very important.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I think that's part of the key, actually, having a bigger reason than yourself. So, because I think that's what makes it stick. That's what makes it easier to do what you need to do?
Well, as I've always shared it every time I've chatted with school teachers, and I'm an educator as well, is there a more important role in the world? I don't think there's no career path, profession, drive, whatever you call what you do as a teacher, there's nothing more important. I want our kids to grow up in a world where being healthy, fit and strong is normal, and it's not anymore. We've got more than 50% of the population that are overweight, type 2 diabetes, coronary heart disease, osteoporosis, depression. That's now become normal to be sick. And I don't want that for our kids. I don't think they deserve it. And if we don't live the example, how will they ever know? We've got a lot of kids now who think it's normal to be overweight. It's normal to have a headache or feel depressed or have to go to the doctor. I can't remember the last time I went to the doctor, and I can't remember the last time I was sick, because when you've got a healthy immune system, you don't get sick. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Rowie, I know that one of your superpowers is making this health and fitness really practical and simple.
Hell
so
yeah.
I've got 5 ways to share how we can be healthy, lean, strong and fit. Share those with us, please.
Okay, so I always put it into a song, and I'd like you to imagine the thousands of people, literally from 5 years of age or a little bit younger through to probably 105 that have sung this song. And I've been singing it for as long as I can remember. But the 5 things to being healthy, fit and strong, I used to think, because I'm studying neuroscience now, I'm actually studying how the brain works. And I used to think that you have to become motivated and excited and positive and optimistic, and then your body will follow along. Well, what I've now discovered scientifically is that it's the body that drives the brain. When you are really fit and when you're really strong, you pump happy chemicals into your brain. Epinephrine and adrenaline and cortisol are the stress drugs that we all get when we're stressed, but they're movement drugs. They are designed for us to run away from the animal or turn and fight the animal. So if you can produce those drugs to move after you have beaten the animal, pulled it apart and eaten it, unless you're a vegan vegetarian, or you've run away from the animal, your brain now fills up with dopamine, serotonin, brain-derived neurotropic factor, and you feel fantastic, you feel happy, and particularly dopamine, that's the drive and motivation drug. So I'm looking at how can we get our kids to have a headspace that is constantly motivated and constantly driven, and that comes from being active. So I used to say the first word to the song used to be happy, be happy, be happy, and it still is, but the other things cause you to be happy rather than choose to be happy and the other things come along. So be happy, be happy, be happy is normal if you do number 2. Well, actually it's number 1, because the second part of being healthy, fit and strong, the simple version of this is for your brain to work effectively, you have to be hydrated. And I learned that the hard way from my father, who when he was at his worst and they said to me, your dad's dying, I would go and sit with him and give him something to drink. And as is awesome, we should all be drinking on a regular basis. Thank you. And I would literally put water into my own father's mouth, and his brain would come back to life, because your brain needs to be hydrated. So the song, the first verse is be happy, be happy, be happy, but you can't do that unless you've got long, clear wheeze. So the second part of being healthy, fit and strong is to be hydrated, which of course is drink more water till you've got clear wheeze, drink more water till you've got clear wheeze, drink more water till you've got clear wheeze. And I share that so passionately because I've spoken at medical conferences where the urologists get really excited about that. But they argue, everybody argues about how much water you need to drink. Is it 8 glasses? Is it 2 litres? Is it 1 litre for every 25 kilograms of body weight? Is it out of a tap? Is it got to be filtrated? Is it from a Fijian well? Where do you get your water from? If you've got long, clear wheeze, you are hydrated. So if you've got yellow, stinky tinkles and only a little bit comes out, you need to drink more water. Pretty easy, yeah? So be happy, drink more water till you've got clear wheeze. I used to sing, eat more stuff that comes out of the ground, eat more stuff that comes out of the ground, until I went to a medical conference where I listened to cardiologists, endocrinologists argue about whether you should be a carnivore or a vegan vegetarian. Now there's a big difference between vegan, vegetarian and carnivore. Interestingly though, they never argue that you should eat real food. So when the carnivores talk about food, they're not talking about sausages and they're not talking about cut up meat that comes out of the deli. They're talking about usually organic, fresh, lean meat. The vegan vegetarians aren't talking about stuff that comes in a packet or a bag. They're talking about fresh stuff that comes out of the ground. So the third verse has changed now to eat more real food, eat more real food, eat more real food, eat more real food. So then I don't have people arguing, and I share that with you so passionately because usually we argue as a human race. We argue about everything. We argue about politics. We argue about religion. We argue about what kind of water you should drink. We argue about what kind of exercise you should do. I'm looking for ways to bring people together, to be kind and respectful, not pull people apart. So nobody argues that you should have a happy headspace. Nobody argues that you should be dehydrated. Everyone agrees that you should be hydrated. Everybody agrees to eat real food. And the next two, of course, are really simple, is be fit and be strong. So the fourth verse is... And I asked this question very passionately and very personally. When was the last time you got really puffed? The fourth verse to this song, to being healthy, fit and strong for the rest of your life, is not a gentle walk or a slow exercise session. Now that's lovely for your headspace, but to get fit, you've got to get puffed. To get fit, you've got to overload your muscles and bones. And I used to be, in your heart and lungs, and it's so interesting because I used to be a marathon runner and I've run 21 marathons and 17 half marathons, and I used to teach 45-minute classes. But now that I've got a better understanding of how the human body actually works, when that wild animal's chasing us and it wants to kill us, and we haven't evolved from hunters and gatherers yet, when the wild animal jumps into the camp and wants to kill us, we don't walk away from it. We don't turn and counsel the animal and say, I think it's a really bad idea that you're trying to kill me. We either have to sprint away or we turn and kill it, we fight. It's called fight and flight for a reason. And that's that, in that phosphate system in the human body, that's the immediate 100% action that gets us away from the threat really quickly. That's also where cortisol gets released, it's where epinephrine gets released, it's where adrenaline gets released. And after it's been released, we feel good. Not from walking, not from low intensity activity. So to get puffed, you've got to work hard, but you can't work hard and long. And this is where it's really exciting. If you go as hard as you possibly can, in about 10 seconds, you will be puffed. You will not be able to breathe. You'll be doing this. And that's the fourth verse to the song. 4 big puffs. So I'm asking you really passionately as an adult, from my heart to yours, if we want our kids to be fit, we've got to get them puffed. So when I hear parents and teachers saying to kids, stop running around, I always go, no, don't stop running around. It's really important to run around and get really puffed so that you get really fit. The last part of that, of course, is as I need to be strong, and as particularly as a woman, and particularly as us more mature women, we get osteoporosis, we have challenges with our hormones and menopause, we have putting on weight challenges, we have emotional challenges. That's all hormonal. But when you're really strong and your hormonal system gets overloaded by lifting something heavy, you now become physically and mentally tough and strong because your endocrine system's overloaded, hormones, your central nervous system's overloaded, your muscles and bones are overloaded, everything gets fit and strong together. So you become in control of your hormones rather than the other way around. And I think that sounds bloody great, don't you? So the fourth verse is get puffed, the fifth verse is be strong. So it's be happy, drink more water till you've got clear wheeze, drink more water till you've got clear wheeze. Eat more real food, and be strong. There you go. Can it get any more simple than that?
I don't think it can. That is just beautiful, Rowie, and thank you for putting all your energy into that too. I love that because it just makes so much sense, and it's something that we can do. It's simple, and by the way, it's completely free.
You don't have to buy anything, you don't have to eat anything different, you don't have to even think differently. It's just and it's not even, most people say to me, I haven't got time to exercise. Well, you can get fit quicker than it takes you to put your lipstick on or put your makeup on or have a shower or shave your legs. It's quicker.
Yeah. So you're saying as long as you... So I think I've talked to you before and you've said, are you doing 4 times 1 minute? Or?
No, 4 puffs an hour. That's my personal exercise program. Because people say to me, how often should I exercise? And I always return them with the question, how often do you want to feel good? And you've heard people, I have people abuse me on social media because I'm unrealistically happy and obnoxiously happy. Well, when you've got dopamine and serotonin and brain-derived neurotropic factor and endorphins running through your brain, you actually can't be unhappy. It's impossible. It's the ultimate antidepressant without all the horrible side effects of antidepressants. And I will just share that as a very personal thing again. We've got kids now, as you know, who are on antidepressants, little children who have been put on antidepressants. And probably understandably, because we're in a world where they're scared of dying, they're scared of being burnt by a bushfire, they're scared of earthquakes, they're scared of viruses, they're scared of everything. So our kids are just fearful. So we take them off to the doctor and the doctor writes them a prescription. Here's my challenge as an adult. Read the box. Read what's in that antidepressant. And just for interest's sake, and I just deal with people, thousands of people over my career path, where I've asked them to read the box and they're just horrified. One of the major side effects of an antidepressant is suicidal tendencies. That's one of the side effects of an antidepressant. Well, exercise, and I'm not talking about walking now, I'm talking about high intense 10 seconds of intense activity where you get really puffed. You pump all of those happy drugs into your brain, and what's the side effect? You get fit, you get strong, you get great hair, great skin, great nails, you have a better posture, you have better self-esteem and self-confidence. That's the side effects of exercise. I want that for our kids. You know, I've wanted this since the day I met you. I want our kids to grow up fit and strong. I want them to have standing desks in school, not sitting on their bum. I want them to be outside playing in the sunshine, not sitting in a room. Our kids deserve better, and I can't change adults, but I think that as adults we really have a responsibility to give our kids a better future. What do you reckon?
I'm with you 100%.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, absolutely, and that I love the new distinction around the real food, that whole food that is close to the natural source. I think.
Well, here's a great question. Are there people who are carnivores, they only eat meat products and they're healthy, fit, strong? And there's 4 questions I always ask. Do you have a stack of energy? Are you performing at your best? Do you love what you see in the mirror? And are you getting the results that you want from your eating and exercise plan? 4 great questions, and I think you should be able to demand that. If you've decided that you're going to eat a certain way and exercise a certain way, you should be able to demand, I've got a stack of energy, I'm performing at my best, I look good, and I'm getting the results that I want. Well, if you're in my profession, there are people who are carnivores that can say yes to all of that, and there are people that are vegan vegetarians that can say yes to all of that. So instead of preaching at people and telling them what to do, how about we figure it out for ourselves? What works best for me? And if you've got no energy and you're not performing at your best and you look shit in the mirror and you're not getting the results that you want, don't preach at people that your program works, because it obviously doesn't.
Absolutely.
Work out what's going to work for you. And for some people, that's eating real meat, and for some people, that's eating vegetables and everything in between. And who's to say what is my favourite food might be your least favourite food, and vice versa? We're humans that have the right to have an opinion and to live the life that we want to live, but let's live it at 100% top quality, not dragging ourselves down to men in the morning. Just saying.
Yeah. I tell you what, a wonderful side effect of being healthy, fit and strong is the brain fog goes.
How? Yes!
Yeah, so I just find that when I'm at my absolute top best, ideas flow, everything just happens. It just feels easy.
Well, you understand brain-derived neurotropic factor, literally a fertilizer for your brain. The things that pump that, exercise pumps it the most. If you get really puffed, or you lift really heavy, or you punch something really hard, or you kick something, your brain fills up with brain-derived neurotropic factor. If you learn, you obviously are now stretching your brain, so brain-derived neurotropic factor, laughing, hanging out with great people. So you're fertilizing your brain. But then all of that together means that you're going to think more clearly, you're going to have more energy, you're going to be able to make better decisions. All the things that our kids need in school and our teachers need to be able to give the kids what they need, that all gets pumped at the best, highest amount when you get puffed. And how long does it take to get puffed? About 10 seconds. So to answer your last question, how often do I need to exercise? I'm every 15 minutes. I do something as hard and fast as I can for 10 seconds every 15 minutes, because I want my brain to be working at no brain fog. What is that fog? What is that all about?
I'm thinking we need to rethink our dance parties that happen maybe every hour to hour and a half. We might need them every 15 seconds.
Yes, please. No, 15 minutes. It's 4 puffs an hour, so every 15 minutes. And there's a reason for that, because that song that I've been singing for years, the 4th verse is 4 puffs. It used to be 3, but I changed it to 4. So I said, okay, I'm just going to get puffed every 15 minutes for 10 seconds. And I'm going to say that again, 10 seconds. And if you ask me why it's 10 seconds, think about the Olympic Games, for example. All the running races at the Olympic Games, there's only one race that is a full-on 100% race. Every other race is a pace. The 100-metre sprint is full-on, as hard as you can possibly go. Even the 200-metre sprint, you have to pace yourself because you're going 200 metres. Well, how long does it take them to run 100 metres? About 10 seconds, because it's the phosphate system. We've got a phosphate system, lactate system, aerobic system. When you go 100% effort, it takes 10 seconds. You can't exercise hard and long. So anybody that gives me an excuse, I haven't got time to exercise, my only answer is, have you got 10 seconds? Let's go. Woo!
Wonderful. I want to go back to the strong one as well, because
Yes.
you don't need to have weights and you don't need to, your handbag. Tell us about that.
I had a giggle. It's funny you should ask me that question. I had a giggle yesterday because I've got 2 big shopping bags. You know how you have to take your bags to the supermarket? And I've done that for a reason, because they're really, when they're big bags, they're really heavy, so they're strong. If you carry 2 heavy bags from your car to the kitchen and you squat that a couple of times in between, you're using every muscle in your body. The key is to do as many as you can, keep going till you can't do any more, and use as many muscles as you can at the same time. So if you pick something up off the ground and put it back down again, obviously you're using your fingers, your arms, your shoulders, your back, your chest, your abdominals and your lower back, otherwise you'd fall forward, and you're using all the muscles in your legs. So you're getting a massive fire of the central nervous system, a massive fire of the endocrine system. You're using every single muscle and bone, which means you can't get osteoporosis because your muscles are pulling on your bones. Your immune system will be strong because your immune system is built inside your bones. And your muscles and bones are blind. They can't count and they don't know what you're lifting. So it can be a dumbbell, a barbell, a kettlebell, a box of groceries, a rock in the garden, a log, a wheelbarrow full of sand. It doesn't matter as long as you use as many muscles as you can at the same time. So yeah, this I had a laugh yesterday when I pulled the 2 bags out of the car because I struggled to bring them to the kitchen, and I just kept saying, look, I'm getting stronger by the minute.
And we also have to be careful as women, because often a beautiful man will say, can I take that for you?
And I say, I love you dearly, thank you for offering, but no, I'm getting stronger.
Yeah, so it's a great answer to have, because they're just trying to help, but actually, and I see that with my own mum, who's lifting 40-litre bags of potting mix.
Yes.
And people say, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. I'm
Yes,
like,
you should. Yes.
Wow.
Oh,
So
look.
she's in her late 70s.
Go back to your very first question at the start was, what's your driving force? My father died of Alzheimer's, and my mother, everybody in her family died under the age of 60 from heart attack. And my mother she lived a little bit healthier than her family, but at 74 she was diagnosed with advanced osteoporosis. We put her into the gym, we got her an exercise professional to give her personal training sessions, she started boxing. At 80 she had no osteoporosis, so we actually cured her osteoporosis. My mother died peacefully in her sleep at 98, so we gave her 38 extra years of life by doing exactly what you just said, lifting. We started her in her own garden lifting buckets of sand. I'm not going to the gym, she said. I don't want to wear one of those leotards with your string up your bum. That was the reason for her not wanting to go to the gym. How embarrassing, because I was the one wearing those silly clothes. And there's some of the barriers that, as my profession, I apologise for, because we've made classes long, we've made gym programs boring, we've made the gym really intimidating, but you can get exactly the same result lifting a bag of potting mix in your garden. Go Karen's mama! Woohoo! Awesome.
All right, Rowie, what about when times are really tough? How do we make sure we can still love every day?
Times are going to be tough every day, probably. I don't know very many people that have a happy life. And interestingly, when we look at people that we think have got a happy life, so if you look at movie stars or elite athletes or celebrities, And they're the ones that are the most miserable. They've got a stack of money and they're doing, supposedly they're really good at what they do and they should love their life. And they seem to be the most miserable. I love tough times, and I'm challenging you, all of us, to love tough times. How do we get a brain to think more clearly and to get stronger and tougher if we don't give it a reason? It's like muscles. If you don't overload them, they don't get stronger. If you don't give your brain challenges to overcome, how the hell is it going to get neuroplasticity happening and you become smarter? That's what teaching's all about, overloading the brain so that we get stronger. So, and I'll use weather, for example, because one of those silly things that we talk about, how boring. We can't control the weather. But if it's sunny, that's lovely. There's a golden ball in the sky. But if there's free water coming out of the sky, that's great too, because how would we have green grass? How would we have a garden that works if there's no free water coming out of the sky? So instead of getting angry or stressed or annoyed about what we can't control, why not respond differently to the things that we can't control? So if it's free water coming out of the sky, we have a little rain dance and say, yay, free water coming out of the sky, woohoo! If it's a sunny day, it's awesome because there's a golden ball day. The world's going through some pretty crappy times at the moment, but if you look for the really happy things, you'll find them. There are parents and teachers and kids that have become better connected because of these tough times. There's been people who have changed their whole lifestyle because of these tough times. We all get to choose how we respond or react. And if we go into a day thinking, oh, what if something bad happens? How about this? Of course something bad's going to happen. Bring it on. Because I'm tough and I'm strong and I'm positive and I'm looking forward to handling it. And this is just a personal one of mine. Every single day, and I share this very openly, the first thing my husband and I say to each other in the morning is, I love you. We look at each other and we say, I love you. The next thing we say is, what are we thankful for? Every single morning, it's the very next thing that we say. And the next thing is, what are we looking forward to? And most days, what we're thankful for is the tough thing that happened yesterday, or the horrible thing that happened yesterday, or the thing that's attacking us, or the nasty, negative, gossiping person. And I'll use that as an example. If somebody's nasty to you, or they gossip about you, or they criticize you, and you thought they were your friend, well, that's awesome now, because you know who they are. They have revealed themselves. So that's, instead of getting angry about that, or stressed about it, or annoyed, I'm just thankful for it. So one of the things I always say every single day is I'm thankful for, and I used to say the negative, nasty people in my life, but I don't say that anymore. I say I'm thankful for the fascinating people and experiences that help me grow. Because every experience and every person that we meet and come in contact with can help us become better, stronger, wiser people. But the happy ones don't help much with that. It's kind of nice. It's like icing on the cake. But the only people that make us stronger, tougher, and wiser are the nasty, negative, horrible ones. So I love them. Yay.
Yeah, and so someone who lives close to you, Steve Gurney, he won the Coast to Coast.
Oh my God.
Have you met Steve yet?
No, but wow.
But he's done the race, I don't know, maybe 20 times, I don't know, but he's won it heaps of times. And he says you don't win anything, you don't learn anything from winning. He says I get better when I lose. So everyone looks at him and goes, wow, you've won it so many times. He says, yeah, but that wasn't how I better.
No.
I got better when I lost. And so I love that philosophy.
I live with a man who's there at this stage, 27 times world champion. He's been doing some online competitions. He's a martial artist. And the very best fights that he's had have been the ones that he's lost, because the better person beat him. But you don't learn by beating somebody who's not as good as you. You only learn from the tough times. So could we appreciate them, and could we teach our kids to appreciate them? We talk a lot about resilience and mental toughness, and then we want to mollycoddle our kids and look after them. How do we get tougher and stronger? I get excited now in New Zealand, especially down here on the South Island, because a lot of the schools have monkey bars and playgrounds, and kids play outside on dangerous equipment. There's a lot of schools in Australia that took out all of their dangerous equipment because they didn't want the kids to get hurt. But all of us old people will tell you that the times in our life where we sprained our ankle or fell off our bike or broke our arm, they were the things that made us tougher and stronger. They're the tough times. How do we get tougher without them? And I really think we need to appreciate them rather than whine about them. And you know my philosophy on that, if somebody whines at you, just give them some cheese with that wine. And
No.
go away.
I heard something yesterday which I loved, and it said if you want to develop your courage, then you will be given opportunities in your life to be courageous.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh yes, it just doesn't happen. It's like, I want to be more courageous, and boom, you're courageous. You actually have to go through the times to be courageous to develop it. And so that's true with all of us, right?
Yes. And I often share this with my students. Yeah, there's some people that are fearless, so they jump out of planes and they jump off cliffs and they've got no fear. But to me, that's not courage. Courage is when you're really shit scared and you do it anyway. So even though the fear's overtaking you, you still do it. And that's for me, I'll go back to the brain chemistry. That's epinephrine and adrenaline and cortisol in your headspace causing massive amounts of fear. But you overcome that fear and now you've got massive amounts of dopamine in your head and you just feel amazing. And you don't feel amazing unless you've gone through the challenge. You don't get that big happy rush unless you've overcome something. So may we be overcomers of tough stuff.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Rowie, I think we could just carry on chatting for hours.
Yes.
And I wish we were closer so we could, as in physically. Maybe we'll get together soon. But tell me, as we finish up, what are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to that's totally inspiring you right now?
And you obviously shared with me that you're going to ask me that question, and without hesitation, and this is something I think is really important for all of us as educators, I'm not particularly interested in the what, I'm interested in the why and how. So why do we learn and how do we learn? And that's now only everything I do from a learning perspective, which is 5% of my day. I'm really pedantic on that. I invest every day, 5% of my time goes into learning, if not more. And I'm going to be very boring. I'm listening to endocrinologists, cardiologists, neuroscientists, and particularly neuroscientists, because I'm really interested in kids are going to learn what they want to learn. My students will learn what they want to learn, but I want to understand why they want to learn it and how they learn so that I can give them the best way to learn. And I think if I can just, again, from my heart to yours, is if we don't understand the connection between brain and body and those happy chemicals, if we get kids to sit on their bum for hours and expect them to learn effectively, I think we've got it wrong. The body doesn't work that way. Even the seated position is not good for the human body. We were meant to stand up. We function in the upright position and we sleep in the lying down position. No one's ever designed to sit, and yet we sit kids on their asses for hours. Why do we do that? And that's not how the human body works, and that's not how the brain works, and that's all that I'm listening to and all that I'm studying. And just as a final note on that, I've learnt the hard way, and I think you and I have chatted about this before. I'm not interested in people that talk about what they might do or what they could do or what theoretically might work. I'm not interested in those books, or I'm not actually interested in those people. I'm really interested in the people that have done it. I study excellence. I study the best businesses in the world, the best teachers in the world, the best athletes in the world, the best musicians in the world. I want to learn from the people who have done it, not from the theorists who talk about this is what you should do. And I'll go back to the exercise and nutrition, because a lot of people preach at me about what you should eat and how you should exercise. And I always ask those questions to myself. Is this person full of energy? Do they perform at their best? Do they look good? And are they getting the results that they want? If the answer is no, you've got nothing to offer because you're not living it. I'm not interested in the talking. I'm really interested in the living. So may we learn from the very, very best, and may we live the example for our kids so they know that it's possible to be happy, healthy, fit and strong. How about that?
That is awesome. Rowie, from my heart to yours, thank you so much, because you are someone who totally lives this, obnoxiously happy.
I can't help it. I can't help it.
I know. It's fantastic, because, someone said to me today, oh, you can't be happy all the time. I said, you haven't met Rowie.
And I just have to, this is really important. I've had terrible things happen to me. I have shit things happen to me every day. I've had people die. I've had horrible things happen to me, but we all do. It's how you respond or react to what happens to you. And we get to choose that. Nobody can control that. You can get cranky with the government or cranky with Happy Homestay or Happy Hotel Stay or any of the things that are going on in the world, but you get to choose how you respond to them. And laughter's good, I think. Laugh a lot.
Absolutely.
So I've got a joke. Now I've got to finish with a joke. It's an educational joke. So little Johnny says to his teacher, Miss, you've told me that if I want something I should pray for it. And I've been praying for a bike, but I haven't got one, so I'm going to steal one and ask for forgiveness. That tickled my fancy. We laugh a lot at our house.
Absolutely. Tune in here, folks, every day for your joke of the day with Rowie.
Awesome. Thanks, Rainbow Lady. That's what I've called you since the day I met you. You are the ultimate Rainbow Lady. Thank you. Multiple happy lady.
Thank you so much. I know that our teachers will be inspired because you live your message, and that for me is so, so important. So thank you, and you have a wonderful rest of the year, and I look forward to celebrating life with you when we can.
When we're 120 and 30 and 40, yes.
Absolutely. Thank you. Teachers, go and get some movement in, go drink some water, go and do what you need to get your brain ready for the next session. So I'll see you there.
Woohoo!